I knew the company was heading for collapse. The moment I walked in and saw a stranger's sneakers, muddy knockoff Yeezys, propped on my desk like it was some dorm lounge. My chair, the ergonomic seat I'd guarded for years, was occupied by a 25-year-old with frosted tips, a vape pen, and the awareness of a goldfish. He grinned wide and said, "Yo, you must be Donna. Pop said you'd be cool." Then, with zero hesitation, he pulled out his phone, snapped a selfie at my desk, and posted it online with the caption, "Finally running this place." That wasn't disappointment, I felt. It was calcification. 16 years building a third-rate warehouse tracker into a multi-million-dollar logistics platform had introduced me to every kind of executive parasite: the empty suit, the credit thief, the visionary who couldn't use a stapler. But Chase was different. He didn't even pretend to care. He flaunted his ignorance like it came with a stock grant. And the truth is, I wasn't angry. Not yet. I was steady, because I'd already built my trap months ago. Clause 7, page 46 of the acquisition packet, buried in boilerplate, but clear. Any case of reputational harm, false representation of executive authority, or breach of confidentiality could trigger immediate contract termination at the buyer's discretion. And Chase, with his time-stamped Instagram post from my desk on day one, had just provided written proof. Now most people would ask, why didn't I explode? Flip a desk. But I'm Donna. I don't shout. I forward emails. Before I tell you what came next, let me say this. If you're listening and haven't subscribed yet, do it. 90% of you just watch and leave. Like Chase in a staff meeting. Hit subscribe, like the video. It shows our late nights and caffeine-fueled rewrites are worth it. Back to Chase. I didn't look at him again. I walked to the copier room, printed out the packet I'd memorized 3 months ago, highlighted Clause 7 in neon, attached the Instagram screenshot, and slipped it all into an interoffice envelope with one sticky note. See Clause C. Then I sent it to legal. No CCs, BCCs everywhere. I returned to what was technically still my office, packed one box with essentials: dog photo, USB of system architecture. This meeting could have been an email mug. My badge, left it on Chase's desk under his still-propped feet. He didn't even notice. HR spotted me heading out. Half day? One chirped? Something like that, I said. They had no idea. No one did. But systems log everything. And mine were designed to record exactly who's at the console when the detonator gets pushed. Chase had leaned in fully. I walked out silent, like a ghost. No questions, no chase. The acquisition hadn't gone public yet, but by the time they figured out Clause 7, it would be too late. I passed the loading dock, forklifts beeping, trucks backing in. Half the logic that kept it efficient was mine. Though no one out there knew my name, that was fine. I didn't need recognition. I needed the system to run. Inside, the email had already detonated in legal's inbox. Subject line: Clause 7, reputational breach. No emojis, no pleasantries, just one screenshot, one contract quote, one line of text. I closed my laptop, didn't wipe it, didn't slam it, just shut it like a coffin lid. Badge face up on the desk. I wanted Chase to see my name later, when he finally realized what he'd triggered. HR laughed down the hall about someone's gluten-free cake. I walked by with my box. "You okay, Donna?" Kim from Benefits asked. "Just need some air," I said. She smiled. They didn't know, but they would. At my storage unit, I pulled out the binder I'd prepared when acquisition rumors first surfaced. Labeled in Sharpie. In case of dumbassery, inside, duplicate patent filings, licensing docs, and my LLC paperwork, formed quietly 2 years ago. I'd seen this pattern before. The so-called visionary arrives. Engineers vanish, and soon everything's outsourced to a cut-rate vendor overseas. I had no intention of being the casualty. Every system I touched carried a heartbeat. Code, tokens, middleware dependencies, legally mine, licensed through my LLC. Permission revocable in 24 hours. The buyers didn't know it yet, but once Clause 7 detonated, they'd scramble for stability. And when they looked closely, they'd realize the architecture they thought they owned wasn't fully theirs. It was mine. I checked my private email folder, merger watch. Every NDA, every red line, every time-stamped update archived like a vacation album from hell. 4 months back, I'd been asked to streamline vendors for the new leadership. Translation, dumb it down for frat bros. I did more than streamline. I isolated, built a dependency stack through my LLC. Clean, modular, bulletproof. No one noticed. They just saw faster systems and thought the cloud gods had blessed them. By the time I left the storage unit, adrenaline had leveled into calm. No rage, no panic, just the stillness of knowing I was holding the only lifeboat on a sinking yacht while everyone else fought for the corner office. I brewed jasmine tea with honey, sat by the window and watched emails ping in. Legal confirmed receipt. Procurement asked, "Can you clarify licensing ownership of the analytics layer?" And there it was, the crack in the snowpack. The avalanche hadn't started, but it was forming. In legal, the inbox froze the room. Donna's name carried weight, the kind that made interns sit straighter and directors reread their drafts. Barbara, the paralegal who once redlined her prenup at her wedding, even stopped mid-sip. At first, they thought it was a mistake. Surely not that Clause 7, but the PDF made it clear. Chase, grinning at Donna's desk, captioned "Finally running this place," posted publicly during an active acquisition window. Clause 7 wasn't decorative. It was written specifically for this idiocy, causing reputational damage mid-deal. A nuclear eject button. The language was sharp. Any executive or affiliate causing reputational harm or misrepresenting authority. Deal gone, no appeals. As the printer spit out the hard copy, highlighted in yellow, bolded in red around the words "running this place," the room went still. And the circus had only just begun. One of the junior counsels asked if maybe Chase had meant it ironically. Barbara didn't even look up. "Irony doesn't hold in court," she said. "Intent doesn't matter. Perception does." And perception just went viral. The issue wasn't only the caption. It was who posted it, where he posted it, and when. The son of the brand new CEO, on day one of an acquisition, sitting at the SVP of Systems desk, the same SVP who quietly managed the architecture of everything the buyer was acquiring. Chase had effectively claimed control over systems he had no legal, technical, or operational authority over, and he left a digital footprint a mile wide, geotags, timestamps, even an IP address from the company network. A sweep of his social media took less than an hour. The result? A feed full of wealth flexing, gym selfies, and misspelled business advice. Worse, his post had already been reposted by a VC meme account with over 120,000 followers. The buyer's legal team would see it within minutes if they hadn't already. One of the men and A partners pulled up transcripts from the Clause 7 negotiations and groaned. "We fought to keep this in," he said. Vance nearly walked away, said it was paranoid. Silence followed. Everyone realized at once they'd stepped on a landmine. By 10:23 a.m., the legal team escalated the issue directly to Martin Vance. Subject line urgent. Clause 7 triggered. Buyer exposure risk. Attached was the screenshot. The full clause and language like material breach and contract nullification. Read receipts on. Martin opened it at 10:27. By 10:29, no reply. And when a CEO doesn't answer that email, it means he's not leading. He's calculating how fast he can spin the story before the floor collapses. The email climbed the board chain with no added commentary, just the subject line and the image. Directors across time zones fired back short replies. Is this a joke? Who approved this? Who is Chase? Where is Donna? No one had answers, because the only person who could have given them had already walked out. And the silence left behind wasn't calm. It was the galloping sound of a deal unraveling. By 11:15 a.m., the buyer had gone completely silent. Integration calls vanished from calendars mid-refresh. The shared Slack channel that had buzzed for weeks with emojis and onboarding chatter turned into a digital graveyard. No messages, no typing indicators, just the quiet weight of lawyers closing ranks. The first official response came at 11:32 a.m. A terse email from the buyer SIP's external counsel to Martin CCing half the known universe. Subject: Urgent clarification request. Social media post attached. Body: Identify Chase and his title. Clarify his role and responsibilities. Confirm whether finally running this place was a joke or an actual change in authority. Until answered, all integration discussions were halted. No greeting, no signature, just legal knives on the table. Martin stayed silent for nearly an hour. His eventual reply was exactly what you'd expect from a man who valued Instagram likes over governance. The individual is my son, Chase. He holds no title or authority. The post was an unfortunate attempt at humor and does not reflect our operational structure. We're addressing it internally. Please advise next steps. He didn't deny it. He tried to minimize it. But by then, Chase wasn't just a name. He was a cautionary tale trending on LinkedIn. Screenshots don't disappear, and once a logistics influencer picked it up, it spread fast. Within an hour, hashtags like #NepoCEO, #DueDiligenceMatters, and #This is why we have clauses were everywhere. Donna, still quietly monitoring the buyer's group chat through mirrored credentials, watched their head of risk sum it up. Is this a joke? They let the CEO's son sit at the SVP's desk on day one? Meanwhile, Chase remained oblivious, wandering the office barefoot, complaining about cold brew selections, asking how to log into the admin thingy. When Martin finally pulled him into his glass-walled office and hissed delete the post, Chase blinked and said, "Why? It got like 800 likes." Martin grabbed his phone and deleted it himself. Too late. The internet had already archived it, reposted it, even memified it, slapping his caption over sunset photos with clown emojis. By 2:06 p.m., the buyer's legal team sent a second note, pending resolution. All onboarding activities are suspended. Do not contact our implementation team until further notice. The panic inside the company spread. Directors paced halls, whispering about indemnity risks. An integration lead was caught Googling, "Can a clause really cancel a deal?" Martin still thought he could charm his way through. At an afternoon meeting, he told the exec team, "Let's not overreact. This is optics, not structural. We still have leverage." Someone coughed, because everyone knew leverage doesn't come from denial. It comes from controlling the foundation. And Donna had already walked off with the blueprints. The emergency board call was set for 4 p.m. By 3:59, most directors were already waiting. Cameras off, silent, tense. Harold Kessler, the oldest and toughest, signed in last. Martin appeared with his trademark corporate smile. Chase, thankfully, was absent. "Let's begin," Martin said, and immediately regretted it. "We're not beginning anything." Gloria Trask, head of risk, said flatly, "We're cleaning up." Harold cut in first. "Explain why your son was at the SVP's desk. Who gave him access? Why wasn't it revoked?" Martin tried to downplay it. It was casual. He had no system access. Gloria snapped. "No one cares if he touched a keyboard." He implied executive control in public during an active acquisition. "Do you understand what that looks like to the buyer?" Martin called it a misunderstanding. Raj, dialing in mid-dinner, asked if he'd even reread Clause 7 since signing. Martin opened his mouth to answer, but Cynthia Shaw, meticulous as ever, interrupted, "Where's Donna? Why isn't she on this call?" Martin fumbled. She stepped away briefly. Harold exploded. "She's the only one who understands the integration stack. We can't answer a single buyer-side question without her." Martin promised to reach out. Gloria muttered, "Don't bother. She already sent the buyer's lawyers that email. You think she's coming back for a meeting?" A heavy silence followed, each director searching their screens for a scapegoat. Finally, Harold said, "I want a list. Every system she touched, every vendor contract she signed, every license tied to her, or any entity she's connected to." Martin swallowed. "We have some of that. Procurement is compiling." "Don't say some," Cynthia snapped. "We're flying blind. I just spoke to Luxec. The buyer asked 3 basic questions about middleware. We had no answers." Martin tried to rally. "We've got a strong foundation. The buyer will see this as a PR hiccup." Gloria cut him off. "A hiccup? They suspended all contact. That's not a hiccup. It's a chokehold." Raj leaned in. "They've canceled site visits. Their tone has shifted. They're using words like governance failure and brand risk. This isn't about chase anymore. It's about leadership, or the lack of it." And Harold, voice low and sharp, pressed the question no one had answered. "Who let your son into an executive desk on day 1 of a 9-figure acquisition? Who gave him a badge? Who gave him clearance?" Martin hesitated. "He borrowed my credentials." The silence that followed was crushing. Someone whispered, "Jesus Christ." No one could tell who. A junior board member, quiet until now, unmuted her mic. "So you're saying your unqualified son not only posed as an executive, but did so using your login credentials?" Martin didn't reply. There was no answer that wouldn't sound like negligence wrapped in favoritism. The board erupted, muted arguments, raised hands, one director leaving the call altogether. Another turned on their camera just long enough to shake their head before shutting it off. Finally, the CFO spoke, voice strained. "We don't even know who controls what anymore. Legal can't map contracts without Donna. Finance is chasing dead ends. The analytics layer might not even be ours. It may be licensed through an outside entity." "What entity?" Harold demanded. The answer came after a pause. DM Strategic Systems, Donna's Consulting LLC. Another silence followed, but this one was different. Not shock. Resignation. Martin sat sweating, blinking, realizing too late the walls were already gone. The next morning at 7:42, a courier hand-delivered an envelope to the legal department. No email, no Slack ping. A sealed letter, signed on delivery. Subject, Notice of Material Breach. Clause 7 Enforcement. From Marston and Holler LLP, representing Luxec Industrial Holdings. The letter was blunt. Due to documented public misrepresentation of authority, Luxec was invoking its contractual right to halt acquisition proceedings immediately, pending investigation, with the option to terminate entirely without penalty. No soft language, no compromise, just finality. Legal rushed it to the executive floor. Martin read it, lips pressed tight, skin pale. "It's not final," he muttered. "They invoked Clause 7. Gloria replied, tossing the second page onto the table. "That is final. There's no renegotiation. You triggered it." "I didn't trigger anything," Martin protested. "She did." But Donna's move hadn't ended with an email. That was only the start. By mid-morning, procurement unearthed the full systems integration plan Donna had filed during early merger prep. At the time, it was dismissed as too technical. Now it was essential reading. On page 14 of the appendix sat a clause easy to overlook. "All middleware supporting operational analytics and vendor harmonization shall be licensed exclusively through DM Strategic Systems LLC, with full rights for deployment, adaptation, and modification." Someone read it aloud slowly. DM Strategic Systems? That's Donna, isn't it? Yes, Donna had built every piece of glue code holding their systems together. The fail-safes, vendor handshake logic, even a patent-pending optimization engine the buyer had called mission-critical multiple times. And her LLC owned it all. Martin's face flushed. That was supposed to be scrubbed before submission. I asked Ops to sanitize it. It's not scrubbed, Harold replied, holding the document. It's filed, digitally time-stamped. Approved by department heads and the merger task force. Art suggested revising and resubmitting a cleaner version. You're not listening, Gloria said. The buyer already has this copy. They built their integration plan on it. It's not a draft, it's the foundation. Martin tried again. I was told we had editorial control. You had legal responsibility, Cynthia snapped, stepping in sharply, and you handed them a blueprint with Donna's name on the keys. Martin turned to legal. Can we stop her? Can she really hold our architecture hostage? The attorney flipped through the binder, nervous. Technically, we don't own the middleware. It's licensed from her LLC. Then cancel the license, Martin demanded. The lawyer shook his head. She included a survivability clause. Even if the deal collapses, the license terms remain enforceable. Revocation requires her consent. Martin sat down heavily. The room fell into suffocating silence. Everyone realized the same truth. This wasn't a pause. It was checkmate. Not by the board, not by the buyer, but by the one person they underestimated. Donna hadn't demanded attention or credit. She only positioned herself for control. And now she had it. Every switch, every login, every line of code the buyer needed was tied to her. Martin closed his eyes. Shoulders slumped. No one spoke. There was nothing left to say. Soon after, staff inboxes received a terse internal email. Subject: Update on acquisition timeline. Internal use only. From Office of the CEO. Due to recent developments, integration with Luxec is paused indefinitely. Please direct questions to department heads. 6 lines of corporate PR that explained nothing yet said everything. But employees weren't fooled. Rumors spread fast. Did Chase really post that? Is it true Donna owns the middleware? Did Luxec pull out? Screenshots of Chase's selfie circulated across the office. Someone taped it to the coffee machine with a mocking caption. Another posted a meme of Donna's empty chair. You don't know what you have until it's leveraged against you. By afternoon, the boardroom resembled a bunker. Curtains drawn, phones muted. Martin paced, demanding, just make it go away. Tell Luxec we'll revise. Issue an apology. Spin it. Blame a rogue employee. Anything? Legal? Exhausted? Pushed back. We can't. Clause 7 isn't negotiable. It activates. They don't have to respond. They can walk away. Then sue Donna for breach. Martin insisted. She didn't breach anything, counsel replied. Her disclosures were legal and visible. It was all in the appendix. Martin snapped back. Then bury it. Redact it retroactively. The lawyer's voice sharpened. It's too late. They had it before you knew what it meant. You gave them the grenade. Your son pulled the pin. Martin turned to the CFO. What do we tell investors? The CFO answered stiffly. Nothing yet, but they're calling. They're angry. 6, maybe 7 major ones already. Vendor partners also began pulling back. Contracts stalled. Support tickets closed. Even catering postponed service until payments were confirmed. One blunt message from a longtime partner read simply, "We trusted Donna. We don't trust you." Martin buried his face in his hands. We need to stabilize perception. Reassure the buyer we're still capable. Gloria cut him off. You're not hearing us. They don't want reassurance. They want out. You gave them the opening. Chase gave them the excuse. The room fell quiet. Cynthia finally asked, why wasn't Chase on a formal contract? Martin hesitated. He was just shadowing. No paperwork. Then who approved his badge? His access? Facilities? Maybe. I don't set no. Then we are the breach, Cynthia said flatly. Not Donna, not even Chase. You gave an outsider access during an acquisition. Clause 7 doesn't care if it's family or staff. It only cares about reputational harm. And this is public embarrassment. At that moment, Martin's phone lit up. A message from the buyer's rep termination review. He didn't read it aloud. He didn't have to. The collapse had begun. It wasn't set explosive. There were no outbursts, just the slow suffocation of money and trust leaving the room. Every hour, another partner walked away. Every silence from the buyer grew longer, and one fact became undeniable. The person they ignored, the one who never demanded credit or raised her voice, hadn't just left. She had taken the only bridge they had and quietly burned it behind her. The silence was crushing. It felt like gravity itself pressing down. Jesus Christ, someone whispered. Nobody could tell who. A junior board member, quiet until now, unmuted her mic. So you sit here saying your untrained, unvetted son posed as an executive, using your login credentials? Martin had no answer. None that wouldn't sound like negligence, mixed with blind nepotism. The board erupted. Shouts, raised hands, muted chaos. One director logged off. Another turned on their camera only to shake their head in disgust before disappearing again. Finally, the CFO spoke, voice thin with disbelief. We don't even know who controls what anymore. Legal can track the contracts without Donna. Analytics might not even belong to us. Finance is chasing ghosts. Ghosts? What entity? Harold snapped. The answer came. DM Strategic Systems, Donna's consulting firm. This time, the silence wasn't shock. It was surrender. Martin sat blinking, sweating. The walls weren't closing in. They were already gone. The next morning at 7:42, a courier arrived at the legal department with a sealed envelope. No email, no Slack ping, no Dropbox link. Hand delivery. Wax seal. Signature required. Subject: Enforcement of Material Breach, Clause 7. From Marston and Haller LLP, representing Luxec Industrial Holdings. The cover letter was merciless. Luxec was halting the acquisition immediately, pending investigation. Full right to terminate without penalty. No soft language, no buffer, just a blunt strike Martin never saw coming, because he still believed the story could somehow be reframed. Legal rushed the document upstairs. Martin scanned it, pale as paper. It says not final, he mumbled. It is. Gloria replied flatly. They invoked Clause 7. That SEP's final. It SEP's an eject lever, and you pulled it. I didn't pull anything, Martin protested. She did. But Donna's trap wasn't just an email. That was only the click of the mousetrap. The spring was still coming. By mid-morning, procurement had unearthed Donna's original systems integration plan, the one ignored for being too technical. Now it was mandatory reading. On page 14, all middleware components supporting operational analytics shall be licensed through DM Strategic Systems LLC, with exclusive rights for deployment, adaptation, and modification. DM Strategic Systems? Someone repeated. That SIP's Donna? Yes, Donna. She wrote the glue code, the fail-safes, the vendor handshake logic, the optimization engine the buyers had called mission-critical. Her LLC was written directly into the operational core of the acquisition. Nobody had questioned it because it came from her. And who questions Donna? Martin Sitt's face went red. That was supposed to be scrubbed. Ops was told to sanitize that document. It sets not scrubbed, Harold said, waving a stamped copy. It sets filed. Approved. Time-stamped. already in the buyer Sep's hands. "We sit'll amend it," Martin insisted. "Issue a revised plan." "You sit's not listening," Gloria said. "The buyer built their integration on this plan. It sits not a draft. It sits the foundation. You had legal responsibility." Cynthia cut in coldly. "And you handed them the blueprint with Donna Sep's name on it." Martin turned desperately to legal. "Can we stop her? Does she even have the right to hold our architecture hostage?" The lawyer flipped through the binder, sweating. "Technically, we don't own the middleware. We license it from her LLC." "Then cancel the license," Martin snapped. "She included survivability," the attorney admitted. "Even if the deal collapses, the license terms stay. Revocation requires her consent." Martin collapsed into a chair. The silence was suffocating. They all knew it. This wasn't just a setback, it was checkmate. Not by the board, not by the buyer, but by Donna. Quiet, invisible Donna. She had everything, the switches, the keys, the logic. By noon, employees were already circulating rumors. The CEO SIP's office released a sterile 6-line update. "Integration with Luxec is paused indefinitely. All inquiries should go through department heads." But the staff wasn't fooled. They whispered, then shouted. By mid-afternoon, half the office had memes on their phones. One taped to the coffee machine read, "Day 1 CEO, leading us into the future, one blunder at a time." Another mocked Donna's empty chair. "You don't know what you have until it's leveraged against you." Meanwhile, the boardroom felt like a bunker. Martin barked at legal. "Just fix it. Spin it. Apologize, blame a rogue employee." But legal looked broken. "We can set. Clause 7 doesn't negotiate. They don't have to talk to us at all." "Then sue Donna," Martin demanded. "She didn't breach. Every disclosure was legal. Every document properly filed. It was right there in the appendix." The general counsel finally snapped. "You handed them the grenade. Your son pulled the pin." Investors were calling. Contracts began unraveling. Partners backed away. Even the catering vendor postponed service, pending payment. One logistics partner SIP's blunt reply said it all. "We trusted Donna. We don't trust you." Martin rubbed his temples like he could erase the disaster. "We need to stabilize perception. Show them we are still capable." "They don't want reassurance." Gloria shot back. "They want out. You gave them the legal opening, and your son gave them the public excuse." Then Cynthia asked the final question. "Why wasn't Chase on a contract?" Martin blinked. He was just shadowing. Informal. "Then who approved his badge? His access? Facilities, maybe. I don't know." "Then we are the breach," Cynthia said. "Not Donna. Not even Chase, technically. You gave an unvetted outsider access during an acquisition. Clause 7 only cares about reputational harm. And this is front-page humiliation." Martin's phone buzzed. A message from the buyer's rep. Termination review. He didn't read it aloud. He didn't need to. The implosion had already begun. No explosions. No drama. Just silence. Contracts dissolving. Money fleeing the room. Every minute, another partner gone. Every hour, Luxec more distant. And every second, one truth became undeniable. The woman they ignored, the one who never demanded credit, never raised her voice, hadn't just left. She had won. She dismantled the last bridge they had left. The boardroom was sealed. No devices, no aides, just the directors, 2 lawyers, and a single printed agenda that might as well have read, "Burn the house to save the porch." At 9:01 a.m., Harold Kessler opened the meeting with 3 words. "Let's get surgical." The room was silent, heavy with professional dread. This was the kind of meeting where executives in $4,000 suits decided the fate of $400 million. First item, Chase. Effective immediately. Harold stated, Chase Vance is banned from all company systems, premises, and communications. The vote was unanimous, not even Martin resisted. Second item. Martin. Gloria spoke calmly. Mr. Vance, given the material breach under your leadership, the board recommends administrative leave effective immediately, pending investigation. Martin tried to protest. Respectfully, I believe I sipping being scapegoated. Cynthia didn't even look up from her notes. You gave your unvetted son access during a 9-figure acquisition. That SIP's not scapegoating. That SIP's self-inflicted. A vote was called. 7 hands raised. Martin didn't raise his. He didn't need to. By 9:08 a.m., HR escorted him out. Badge disabled. Calendar revoked. A single cardboard box waited at his door. The board wasted no time. Harold Sip's next motion, contact Donna Moore. Cynthia was already on her phone. Donna Sip's reply was immediate, wants it in writing. Together, they drafted the email carefully, line by line, like a hostage negotiation. Subject, request for clarification and re-engagement. The board requests your participation in a confidential session regarding your system's integration plan and IP rights. We recognize recent strain, but believe your expertise is critical to mitigating further damage. Please confirm your availability. Sent, delivered. Read, the reply came within 10 minutes. My intent was to prevent damage. Your son beat me to it. No greeting, no sign-off. Just truth, sharpened. The room went still. Harold broke the silence. Well, I guess she's not coming back with cookies and hugs. Nervous laughter followed, but the truth was obvious. Donna had protected the company better than they ever had. She'd given them a fallback. They'd ignored it, and now they were offering her power they should have acknowledged months ago. Do we negotiate? One director asked hopefully. No, Cynthia said. We concede. She hasn't made a demand, Gloria added. That was the demand, Harold replied. They all realized the same thing. They had tried to replace the company's backbone with a son who couldn't spell logistics correctly online. Now the woman they sidelined held the leverage, legal, technical, and reputational. The mess was cleared, the votes taken, but Donna hadn't raised her voice once. She simply replied to an email and waited. The virtual meeting began with the usual polite chime, but everyone knew it wasn't ordinary. On one side, the board of directors, rigid and stone-faced. On the other, a representative from Luxic Industrial Holdings, sharp, controlled, there to judge whether anything could still be salvaged. And then Donna appeared. No theatrics, just her webcam, a clean background, and a half-empty mug. The buyer SIP's rep spoke first. Miss Moore, thank you for joining. Donna gave a single nod. He continued, Luxic is still interested in your system. We trust its integrity, despite complications on your former employer SIP's side. Would you license it directly to us through your LLC? Yes, Donna replied, without hesitation. The board exhaled too quickly. Then she added, at triple the original licensing rate. Cynthia tried to interject, but the buyer SEP's rep stopped her. Donna wasn't finished. I also want a full voting seat on the board. Not advisory, full rights, or no deal. The silence was long and heavy. The buyer's rep turned to the directors. No objections came. Not after weeks of humiliation and sleepless nights. Harold finally muttered, motion to approve. Gloria second. Cynthia confirmed. Donna didn't thank them. She didn't gloat. She simply nodded and left the meeting. That afternoon, Martin's termination was finalized. The press release was the usual template, pursuing new opportunities, grateful for his service. Inside the company, it was blunt. Access revoked, email redirected, photo removed from the executive hallway, and replaced with a generic stock image. The company restructured, New terms, new leadership. Donna didn't return as an employee. She didn't want the office, the parking spot, or the catered lunches. She wanted ownership, and she got it. Across the industry, the signal was clear. Donna Moore wasn't just back. She was the system now. If you wanted access to the crown jewel of logistics tech, you went through her. By dusk, she was on her porch as a storm rolled in, a blanket on her lap, jasmine tea in her mug, the wind carrying the scent of rain. Her laptop buzzed with new consulting requests, startups, global giants, firms that once overlooked her now sending urgent subject lines. She didn't smile. She just sipped her tea and watched the storm. She hadn't shouted, slammed doors, or staged scenes. She had simply sent one email and waited